All right. Week 15. I mean, that's real, right? So week 15, 16, 17, and we're done. And week 15, after this week, we start to see that thing I talked about a couple weeks ago, which is a decrease in our items. So, and what's cool is that several of you have actually been able to work ahead and finish, which is totally awesome. And I know several of more of you are. But, even if you're working at the due date or even if you're just catching up, it's all good. Just know that is there time left to get work done? Sure, absolutely. The more amount of work you have to do, the bigger challenge you have in front of you, but it's still doable. All right, so since we came back from spring break, I thought I would just show you what I did. A lot of stuff on spring break. I I did some work. I did some play. I was looking through my photos just to remember it all. But one of the things I definitely want to share is that I did a hike, and I hike quite a bit all around Central California. And there's a hike close to Fresno that I had never done. And it's behind Bass Lake up on Sky Harbor Road. And it's called Pincushion. And this is actually a view from Pincushion out to Millerton. And it is a wonderful hike. It's really accessible. And if you are into hiking, you probably already know about it. But if you haven't, then, this is a great time of year before it starts to get too hot to do this. So, FYI, if you want to know more about that, let me know. If you want to share pictures in your reply of what you did on vacation on our break, that'd be great as well. So, now, that wasn't the only thing I did. One of the things I did is thought through some of the things that I know you're going to hit. And so what I did here is I rolled the calendar forward to May, since we're basically next week and into May. And I looked at the one thing that I think, I want to make sure, and I've talked about this probably more than some of you want to know, which is the Microsoft Access lab test, which is coming at us on the 13th. And this is our last lab test. It is the one that will most likely throw a couple of you, only because there is a program that you will not have. And I've been asking about it, but now's the week I want to make sure. Do you have Microsoft Access on your system? And if not, what's your plans for getting it? Because one of the things, and I looked at the item this morning, I was looking at it here, and I do remind students about how to install, if you're on a Mac or Windows, how to get this Microsoft Access. But one of the things, and I've been saying this, so I'll say it again, is that this video covers getting Windows from the MS Imagine program. And you guys did get an email a couple of weeks ago. But that system no longer has Windows 10. And I don't see them fixing that issue before the end of the semester. So if you're a student that is running a Mac and wants to do Access, you're going to need to still do this process, but instead of getting Microsoft Windows from this program, you can just download it. I'm just going to show you this. So you can download Windows 10 trial. So Microsoft trial, I spelled it wrong. Thank God for Google there. Really anywhere, right? Okay, so in this case, if you scroll down, you'll see a couple, but right down here is actually the place where you would download it. What you have to do is you have to tell it, like what edition you want. I think it's a 30-day trial. And what's cool is it does download what's called an ISO file. Basically, what you can know is that file is like a zip file, but more compressed, and it's called an ISO file. Now, why do I bring that up? Over on this video, I show you how to actually install into your Mac, because first what you do is you install VirtualBox, and then you have to install Windows, and then inside of that Windows installation, you install Microsoft Access. Again, this is only for students on Mac. That's why some of you are like, I've heard this before. Well, it's okay. But I just wanted you to know is that part of my instruction you have to get. the Windows 10 somewhere else. So I just wanted you to know, right? So that is something that you can still do. Honestly, at this point too, I might consider, if I was on Mac, actually looking at a workaround, right? There's labs on campus. There's other ways you can have, and this is redundant, access to access, but there is. Okay. So you might start thinking about those alternatives. But more than anything, just make sure you have it. That way you're not waiting until this night to get it. And I've had you, in your notes over the last several, is actually talk about the end of the semester. So I'm not going to talk about that again, but hopefully and if you have any questions, you're asking me about that. But I think I've been really clear. I've been really clear about the end of the semester. So let me just add one little thing to this, is that in the second week of May, I'm going to be traveling. It's my last travel for the semester, and it's to an event that's really fun for me to do, and I really learn a lot, and it's Google I/O. So it's Google's annual conference in Mountain View, so I'm not traveling out of state. I'm actually going to be here in California, but I'll be gone for most of the week. This is a Tuesday through Thursday, but again, just like when I was in Miami, I still work. It's, that's the thing about this world we live in. It's like you don't really check out of work. Most of us is we take our work with us. So I will still be doing that. And then I'll be recording the last attendance post there, most likely, because the thing is I leave, again, this is a little more detail than you might want, but I leave on the 5th. I go to a global summit before Google I/O, and I get to meet people from all over the world, which is totally fun. And then we check into Google I/O to the 9th, and then I'll be either traveling back or at least somewhere. And I think what I'll end up doing is maybe recording a video somewhere while I'm at the event, just to give you a flavor of some of the things that I see there. So I'm going to do that as our last attendance post. Okay. Let's see. Was there anything else? I don't think there was anything else I wanted to highlight as far as that goes. Everything, like I've said, is available and for you to work on. But this week, yeah. Okay. So this week, the classwork is a little different because what you're going to be doing is creating a simple design database, a database design. Now, what's important here is with all of our items, that you're actually creating a separate file that you link into your classwork. You got to make sure you save that in the right location, because otherwise I can't view it. This has been, some of you have had this issue. And so, I'm just giving you the heads up so that you don't have to go through that. But what's also important is that you design a simple database. And this is what we call relational database. And I talk about these concepts in the video down here. And I want you to take some notes, but most of the points really come from doing this design, okay? Because these notes these concepts that I'm covering here are talking about how to fill out that form, but really about database concepts in general. And this week, you guys had I just finished grading it, was the documentary about data, big data. And man, big data is feeding into everything, machine learning, something I'm studying myself. And so this just continues the idea that how important databases are in our world, and understanding them is really critical to at least have concepts of them, because trust me, every business is using a database in one way or the other. And so having that skill is way important. So that's good. So that's your classwork this week. And then several of you are taking the alternatives for the Code Academy, but most of you are continuing on. And, don't feel bad if you're taking the alternatives. It's okay. That's why I provide them, right? So, but this is loops. Loops are great, fun to learn, and it's our last one. Right. So most of you, again, seem like you enjoy the Code Academy stuff. I definitely recommend, if you're so inclined, that you might take, I'm teaching JavaScript. I know I've plugged it before, but I'll plug it again next semester online in a 9-week mode. So, check that out or ask me any questions that you might have. All right, I think that's it for me. Have a wonderful week, and I'll chat with you next week. Will be the right before I head out for my week away, but I'll record a video next Friday. So have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.